Good day, everyone. I am Julian Diaz-Pada together with my partner, Miss Kyla Jane Chua. Today, let us share with you about the research article we have read. To start with, let's have a brief introduction about the paper.
Thank you, Ms. Julian Espada. The title of the research article is Educating English Language Learners with Special Needs Beyond Cultural and Linguistic Considerations. This study was conducted by Yujong Park and Rachel Thomas in 2012. Now, let us take a look on what the paper is about.
According to the research article, English language learners with special needs or English language learners consistently struggles to make progress in American school system. Although the No Child Left Behind Act or the NCLB was passed to address the achievement gap between English language learners and their white counterparts, it did not provide any specific direction on how this teacher can assist the students in the classroom. Being that said, this became a challenge not only on the part of the student but also on the part of special education teachers.
To address the problem discussed, the objective of the study is to explore the important issues that English language learners with special needs encounter that impact their education besides cultural and linguistic differences. A concept review method was used to achieve the set goal.
Now, let us discuss what the study has found. First, let us take a look at the critical issue and challenges for English language learners with special needs. One of these was the issue on identification and assessment. Identification and assessment issues. English language education has grown throughout the world. English language learners with disabilities may be thought of as struggling learners. This is said to be due to the broad range of definition and criteria used to determine who is eligible for special education assistance. Due to these unreliable measures, English language learners are just referred to special education, which causes a dramatic rise in representation. This matter raised the issue of having an unsure result. It is unclear if the overrepresentation is due to genuine issue or to testing procedure that can tell whether a student problem is related to second language learning. Second is the teacher presentation and professional development issue. The shortages of general and special education teacher with sufficient experience and qualification causes a challenge to English language learners with special needs. Due to this, English language learners with or without disabilities are routinely taught by inexperienced and unqualified teachers who are unfamiliar with second language acquisition and struggle to provide appropriate services in teaching English language learners with special needs. And lastly, the legal and policy issues. Despite these advances in legislation, research suggests that these regulations have had little impact on educational achievement. Although legislation has been enacted to ensure that English language learners receive adequate educational services. Educators are unfamiliar with these provisions, they have not been successfully implemented, or they have been ignored.
Moving on to the next part, let us now discuss the recommendations to improve the education of English language learners with special needs. First is that teachers must be aware of the cultural and linguistic influence that could affect the assessment process to avoid biases. They must interpret assessment without basing on norms constructed by dominant cultures. Another is by utilizing response to intervention to benefit English language learners with special needs. Response to intervention is an approach to identify and address the learning and behavioral needs of a student. It also helps us to distinguish What causes the low performance of the student? Is it their disability, cultural or linguistical issues, or insufficient intervention? With that, we can come up of how we can teach and assess English language learners with special needs. Lastly, what we can do is to collaborate with all stakeholders and family members of English language learner with special needs. Teachers should collaborate with parents to understand the student's background and bridge their experiences from home to school. Aside from the family, teachers must also collaborate with stakeholders, which includes policymakers, law agencies, and researchers to share and gather data on appropriate identification and assessment of English language learners, which can then be publicized to help English language learners with special needs and without disabilities.
English is essential for learners because it broadens their thinking, help them develop emotional skills, and help them enhance their quality of life by opening up doors to work possibilities. The challenges of educating English learners with special needs can be overcome by providing culturally and linguistically appropriate assessment and interventions that are consistent with the student individual needs.
So as future SPED teachers, we should not only look for the disability of our students. Rather, we should teach ourselves on how we can help our students to learn and see the brighter future ahead of them. That ends our presentation, and thank you so much for listening.